One. All right. All right, Andrew. So before we start, I will have to ask you. I sent you the consent form. Do you
Hmm.
consent to doing this interview?
I do consent. Yes.
All right, perfect, man. So let's get started. So first
All right.
question. So who are you, man? Who are you, and what do you do?
My name is Andrew Fernandez, and I am a producer in the music sense because I have other things you could define me as. But in this sense, I am a producer, and I have two main music projects. One is called Data Kiss, and that's my solo stuff. So anything I make that I like, that I think other people would like as well, then that goes there. And then I'm also in a band with three other people called No Shame Rose. And that's more like indie pop or also whatever we decide to make together that we feel like is for that band. We release on that.
So how long have you been engaged in creating music?
I started doing music on my own maybe in the summer of 2016. And that's when I actually was like, oh, I think this is a great hobby for me. But it really became something that I want to like fully do as a income like, for a living maybe in the last 2 years, I'd say. Because the first song I ever uploaded, I did that in the winter of 2018, I think. Oh no, so in 3 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, great. I mean, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But first, no, the reason why we're here,
Hmm.
besides getting to know you, it's of course for about a year and a half we've been living in this world that's been wrought by a pandemic, and
Hmm.
it's a situation that's not really familiar, especially to us musicians, because we're
Yeah.
used to. You have the preconceived ideas of what you can do to kind of get the word out and kind of play your
Yeah.
music as well. So I wanted to ask you, how do you cope in general with the Corona crisis, and how has it affected your creative process, if at
Oh
all?
boy. Um, in terms of my creative process, it has never been better because it was uh, whenever I had the time before. So if I was just bored at home, I'd finish because I was studying in Groningen. Whenever I'd like finish the work I needed to do for the day, I would just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a beat. I'm gonna do something." And so, also, at least for me, then it was a lot of like, "Oh, I have to figure out how to use the software I'm doing. I have to learn the music theory." And now a lot of that is just really natural to me. So having all this free time during Corona, I have made a lot of music that's actually, in my opinion, good. That I was like, oh, if this came out, be great. But it's also been kind of now it's a bit tougher to do it because it's the whole thing of I've been doing it for months and months. So now I don't get the same like drive to make something because now it's like, well,
It's
I'm
going
kind of
on a little too long, you would say.
yeah. Like it's
Absolutely.
the I don't want to say I'm bored of it because I'm not, but it's I'm not as inspired to do it as often as I used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally fair. I mean, I've kind of the same problem,
Mhm.
and that's of course the creative process. I assume you're at home. You record stuff at
Mhm.
home as well.
Yeah, I only use my laptop.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
On a budget, but still sounds good.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so that's one part of it. But I also want to ask you about gigging and playing music live. Have you ever done
Mhm.
any gigs before?
So the very first gig I've ever done, I did it 2 weeks ago in
Oh wow.
Friesland in the first round of a competition. Very first time I've ever played live.
All right. Oh
And
wow.
so, yeah, because my band, No Shame Rose, we entered in a Frisian music competition because three of us are technically Frisian. So we decided to do that because they did it last year. And the first round was 2 weeks ago. It was the very first time I've ever performed live, and it was recorded
Oh god.
and live streamed and everything. I was like, oh
Well, I
boy.
mean, I could ask, were you nervous? But I suppose.
Yeah, actually, well, because I had done theater for most of my time in high school, so like performing is something I love to do. So it was just a new form of performing for me.
Okay.
So I was just like, let's go, let's do it, because we knew our parts. It sounded amazing. We're like, let's just go, and then we won the round. So
Oh well, there you go. Fantastic.
yeah, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, you got to be able to do a gig now, and things are finally opening up again. But I
Yeah.
do wonder, how do you think about, the future of gigging? Have you any more gigs planned, or is it still kind of unsure?
So for the band, we have a few places we want to get booked in Groningen, and we know some people who own bars and restaurants, and they're like, yeah, come do a show for us. We're like, yeah, let's do it. But we have another show in 2 weeks. It's the second round of the competition, so that's a definite show that's happening. But then I live in Leiden. They all live up in Groningen. I'm talking with people doing shows here in Leiden, and so hopefully we're going to have shows all over the Netherlands this summer. And then, but with Data Kiss, it's very tough because I don't know how I want to perform that live yet. Because it's getting a lot more. I'm trying to turn it into like a singer songwriter project, maybe. So then I also would need then, in my opinion, maybe like a full band, and that's that's on hold. So Data Kiss is only maybe I would do DJ sets if I get better at that. But I'm really now only focusing on having the No Shame Rose shows be good and be a good representation of us. Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk a bit about being a musician in general, because the studies have shown that being a musician is precarious work. Because and there are a lot of musicians out there right now that are kind of walking on thin ice because of course because of the pandemic and because of it's very unsure, and even a lot of them had said that it can lead to stressful living. And I want to ask you, do you find being a musician at this moment, do you find it to be stressful work, or are you not really thinking about that much?
Um, Sometimes I want to work on it more, but because it used to be I'd make music to be like, oh, maybe I can try to make a living off this, and that was not working out. So, but now I make music for the sake of making music. So it's become a lot easier for me. It's not as stressful. I'm not like, oh, I need to write a pop banger and I need to pay my rent. Because I'm lucky that I have a job and a girlfriend who also has a job. So I don't have to worry about being like, this song needs to be the one that's going to make me money now. So in terms of that, it's not too stressful for me, but it can be very stressful to, at least because of Corona, it's very tough for my band, to all agree on something and be like, this is perfect. So that's where the stress comes from for me. Or also because I just released a new song as Data Kiss a month ago, and I was really hoping it would be playlisted on a Spotify playlist. Because the thing is with those is that you have to play by Spotify's rules, and then they might grant you it. And I played by their rules very, very strictly. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kiss up to them, and then it didn't happen. That happened, and so that can be very stressful because you put in this time to be in that image, and then Spotify goes, no. And I think that's been very stressful for me.
So we're now kind of talking about streaming as well, because you said okay, you're trying to get your music on the Spotify playlists, which I know about them. There's some editorial ones and some algorithmic ones, and it's very tough to get on it. And I kind of wanted to discuss streaming in general, because on one hand, streaming is something very useful for upcoming artists, especially now as you can't go anywhere gigging. So this still is an opportunity for you to present the music to the world.
Yeah.
And one could argue that in a way, because it's been made so easy that it kind of levels the playing field. It doesn't matter how big of an artist you are, you can still put out music.
Yeah.
But then, on the other hand, it also means that there's a lot more competition.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many of us to try to get on these playlists and try to get lucky. So I was kind of wondering, and this doesn't only have to do with streaming, but what are some of the strategies you employ in order to market yourself?
Playlists. I try to make, well, at least as No Shame Rose, we have one playlist called Radio Rose, which is just like our way of being like, hey, we like these songs. We also have a new song out. We'll put it in there so people, because it is tough to market just a single, I think, because an album is really, I think, a lot easier because you're like, it's an experience. It's 8 to 12 songs. It's this whole thing. You could spend an hour on it. Whereas to market a single, it's 3 minutes or however long it is, and then that's it. You have to somehow hook them. And so at least what I try to do is I try to make playlists that are accessible, that have my music and then similar music or music that inspires it, so then people can go on a journey with the single. And so, but that can also be very tough because sometimes people are like, no, we want more music, we don't want a playlist, But I do that. At least with my own music, I try to incorporate artists to help with the artwork. So then that also becomes like, hey, this guy, he made the album art for the song, check it out. Or he made the canvas for the thing on Spotify, you should check him out. And then it's like a helping kind of situation in that regard. But it's because I have a degree in media studies, but I have also no idea how to market myself. Because at least my solo music, I feel like, can sometimes be so obscure that it's not one genre. Whereas with No Shame Rosé, it's like, oh, this is clearly just indie pop. We're a bunch of guys making pop. It's easy to market that.
Yeah, because I can imagine if your solo stuff is kind of a lot more genres and a lot more different types of music, then of course it could be hard to kind of keep your listeners up to date. What's coming and what to expect. So besides Spotify, what other platforms do you use? And do you use social media?
Yeah. Oh, big time. Instagram is right now our biggest, largest audience is on Instagram. We have like 200 followers, I think, on our account for No Shame Rosé. Datakiss, like maybe 100, I think. But mainly, I look at the numbers on Spotify, and then I try to tailor. Oh, maybe we should make something more like this, or we should be doing a song more like this, and try to find a way again to get on those editorial playlists. But I also look at Apple Music because I know Spotify and Apple Music are the two big ones. But I prefer Spotify because they give you the tools to actually help you. Whereas Apple Music is kind of just like, yeah, you just got to get lucky with it. You gotta. But I make sure all our music is released on every single streaming platform. So even the ones that I know no one I know listens to, like Deezer or Tidal, they're there, and so hopefully someone stumbles upon it there.
I assume you use some kind of third-party distributor?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to something that's maybe a bit touchy for us. I kind of alluded to it before, but let's talk about monetization of music and monetization of our work. And yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, of course, let me just start by corroborating a fact that is that making money in the music industry, especially as an independent artist, is extremely difficult. And
oh, yeah.
And, it means that the musician's financial situation is oftentimes uncertain, as we discussed. Mm-hmm. So, and this is something you've kind of answered before, but I still have this question. Do you work beside music?
Yes. Yeah, I have a retail job.
Okay. And then I wondered, so of course you put the music on Spotify, but a stream on Spotify, it's like nothing. You get nothing from it.
Yeah.
So what are other ways of how you could possibly monetize your work? Have you been thinking about that?
Oh, yeah. I'm meeting with people soon to start No Shame Rosé merch because we just want to make hoodies and t-shirts because we know a lot of people have told us that they're like, if you made merch, we would wear it. And so at least we'll try it first locally. So we'll make like a batch of, I don't know how many. And then at the shows we're doing, we will try to sell them, or maybe like through direct messaging on Instagram, we'll be like, hey, we have some shirts, whatever. But with Datakiss, I have been trying to make vinyls. I want to make vinyls and try to sell some of those. But at least with Datakiss, I'm not focusing on profit as much. I use any money I make from Datakiss, I try to donate it rather than give it to myself because, as I mentioned before, I'm financially secure right now. I don't need the money. And other people, especially during the pandemic, need it more than I do. But I don't make that much money, so my donations are quite small right now, which is, I wish they were a bit bigger, but it's people's money; they can do whatever they want with it. But so in terms of our monetization, it's mainly through Spotify or through any streaming platforms. Those cents we make from that, and then we're working on merch.
All right, great. So yeah, you've really been thinking about that. That's fantastic because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I have nothing else to do.
Yeah. So a couple of closing questions. First of all, do you, and this is maybe a heavy question, but do you see a realistic future for yourself in the music industry? And be it as an artist or be it as a producer or anything like that.
I always go back and forth with that because I'm not a trained musician, so it is a lot tougher for me to stand out. Because when I learn a certain chord progression or I learn how to properly produce, a lot of people go like, "Oh no, that's so easy. You just do this, this, and this." I'm like, "Oh well, I just spent a week trying to learn how to do that. That's great." And so it's well, I mean, there are members in my band that they are literally better musicians than me in terms of they can just hear sounds and go, okay, no, that's this progression, and oh, I can play it on the piano now, I can play it on the guitar now. Whereas I struggle with that still. So in terms of being like an onstage musician, it can go either way for me. I feel like if we get a big break, I'm gonna go all for it. I'm not gonna stop. But if it's not working, I don't want to also push it too much. I don't want to, because something I really want to do is eventually properly start up a record label and try to find talent and nurture talent. And because I do have my own label, but I really only release my own stuff on it. I just have it there, so it looks cool on Spotify. It's instead of just my name again, is an actual record label. But so if I could actually like fully make that into something, I would love to have that as a career in the industry.
So right now it's more of a kind of careful approach. You have all these ideas, but of course no one knows how things will pack out. You might strike gold or you might not.
Yeah,
so, we all do, man.
Yeah.
All right, so final question here, and this is still relating to the Corona crisis. So has your overall mindset kind of changed about a career in music during the crisis, or has it kind of stayed as it was before?
It changed for sure, because at the beginning, before Corona, I was kind of just like, oh, it's a fun thing I do. Like, again, if I strike gold, whatever. But because during the pandemic, it was tough for No Shame Rose to make and release music. It was almost impossible because there was always some excuse from someone being like, no, I can't do it. Oh, no, I don't like that. Da-da-da-da. Or like, oh, we're better when we're in a room together, but we can't do that until, this year. But I would always be like, I want to do it. I need to do it. I need to get it out. And I think that really made me realize that, oh yeah, like I should try to pursue this because I have this passion for music and making music and releasing music. And because all I want to do is make people happy through music. And I was like, okay, I'm making stuff that people actually are liking. And like one of our songs has 7,000 plays on Spotify, and that blows my mind. And that friends being like, this is one of my favorite songs that came out last year. And I was like, that's crazy. I want to do that more because I want more people to be happy. And if it's through music, and I was like, I have this passion. I gotta now I'm like, no excuses. If I can finish a song, I'm gonna finish a song. I'm gonna release a song. Yeah.
So Andrew, any final thoughts? Any maybe perhaps advice for other folks that are in the similar situation as you are as an upcoming artist? Do you have anything that you think people should know?
Well, it's something I struggle with, but any excuse you come up with for not making music, actually think about it and think, is it a self-conscious thing being like, oh, well, I don't know how to play this instrument right or mix this right? And really question, do you need someone else to help you do it? Or like, can you do it yourself? Even if it takes you another year, can you do it yourself? Then you should try it and do it and just go for it. Don't let others saying they're busy deter you from releasing music you want. Because eventually You may not be able to do it now, but if you really work on it, you will be able to do it later. It's not I might be able to. You will be able to. If you really push yourself and believe in yourself, you can do it.
Wow, and on that inspirational note, that's gonna do it. So Andrew, thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And where can people find your work, your music, your links?
We are on all streaming platforms. Solo stuff is under Data Kiss, 2 words. And my band is No Shame Rosé. There is a comma in there, but you'll be able to find it. And we are on every social media platform as well, except TikTok. We're working on TikTok because we're not sure if we want to do that, but you know, there's money in TikTok. So, but yeah, we're everywhere you can find us.
Heard it, folks. Look everywhere. All right. Thank you once more, man.
No worries. Thank you.